A veteran journalist who has 2 books, a memoir and a compilation of essays published to his credit, Ole Ajibade gives more insight into the different categories of writing.
You have different levels of writers. You have creative writers, you have writers of educational books, you have essayists, you have poets. Those are creative writers. And you also have people who write speeches, you know, for presidents and for governors. Those are writers too.
There is no set pattern, and there is no way of saying writers do this. Generally, we all do them differently. And then there is that thing they call inspiration. It is real. You find yourself when you're writing, when you are really interested in the topic you're writing about, the subject you're writing about, you get so carried away by it that you write about it. You write about it until you are tired. You are spent, is really what it is. And at the end of it, you get up and kind of need a rest or need a change of environment or change of activity. Later, when you come back to read what you have written, you begin to wonder, did I write that? That is the time we say you got the inspiration. The inspiration took you over and made you write all of that. And you cannot tell when you are going to get the inspiration. Different writers, all over ages, all ages, have tried to call down inspiration. Sometimes some perform particular rituals, like they have to get dressed in a particular way. They must have this, they must have that before they can start, because that is when inspiration will come.
As expected, different writers have stories of what led them into writing and how they see themselves as writers.
It's been a lifetime passion. It's something I grew up and discovered I wanted to do, and I've been doing it ever since. I write mostly literary fiction and journalism, most times as well. Yeah.
The first black African to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1986, Nigeria's own Professor Wole Soyinka describes himself as a writer, while others share their journeys into the writing world.
Writing, whether it's prose, whether it's drama, directing and play, whether it's poetry, whether it's even design, because I also consider myself a failed architect, if you like. So when the reality around me is such that I'm not at peace, then I intervene.
Being a full-time writer is mainly because of my core interests, and that the only way of allowing these interests manifest is if I have enough time to flesh out the issues on the page. And you know, full-time writing allows me to do that. It also gives me the liberty of being able to move to spaces that are more conducive, or spaces where the stories that I want to tell are happening, so that I can observe these stories firsthand as sometimes even a participant observer, or just sometimes observing people and watching them in their own context. They're not reporting on them from afar. You know, so I'm interested in stories of different kinds, and I'm interested in going to where stories happen.
My father was the one who started all of us writing. On Saturdays, he would take us to CMS bookshop, in the same place where you have CMS bookshop now, but it was a bungalow. We were all different ages, so we buy different age groups, books. Then my father would come to lunch, not always, but often he came to lunch, and he would ask us, you know, how far have you read, what have you read, what have you read, and we'll tell him what it is we've read. He was very busy. He ran his own hospital, so he had to spend plenty of time there. But yet he had time to take us to the market sometimes, to go and look at what's going on there. He wouldn't tell you. He'd just tell you to, you know, look around. and then you come home and write about the market. And even after I left home, I went abroad. I wrote stories. I sent a story to the BBC in 1965, I believe, and it was accepted and broadcast in Africa, East, West, and wherever from under Africa. And it was broadcast in Lagos.
Efforts of both young and old Nigerian writers like this have produced tons of books, but there are questions around how much of these books are read.
I really do not think that we have a lot of people reading novels, the way we ought to have, given our population, okay? And that is because many of the people that we talk about are not weaned on that culture. Every corner that you turn to, you have event centers, you have churches, you have mosques. I have nothing against all those ones, okay? If you want to dance yourself lame, to forget your sorrow, carry on, all right? But for God's sake, let us also have public libraries. Where are the public libraries? Where are the great bookstores?
Oh, I've always been one to debunk the fact that Nigerians don't read. Since I came into this space and I heard people, say it a lot, I'd be like, no, I do not agree. I come from a reading background. I've read all my life. I've been around books all my life. And I know that there are people like me. When, I came into publishing and it's tied into the fact that, okay, we print maybe 1,000 copies and it's so difficult to sell off 1,000 copies because Nigerians don't read. I'm like, no, that's not the issue. Let's look at the fact that there's something we haven't gotten right. We either haven't been able to reach out to the Nigerians who read, or our books are slightly too expensive for the Nigerians who read.